Hello, and welcome to another one of my videos, but also welcome into 2026. For me, the new year doesn't really start until springtime, and I know right now it's the first week of January. Maybe you have some resolutions that you're working on, maybe be physical, mental, eating better, or maybe just a simple resolution of just being happier. I wanted to make a video today to really highlight the fact that if you're not feeling very in the mood to make a resolution or have the energy to really launch yourself into 2026, that's completely normal and fine. And I just wanted to touch on that today because sometimes we can get really hard on ourselves, especially when we see everyone online and in our life, have the energy of new year, new me. For me, the new year doesn't really start, or I don't really have the energy to put forth resolutions and things like that until further into winter, until really early spring, when we're not in the depths of winter. So right now we are in Canada. Well, I'm in Canada right now, and it's just the beginning of January, and it's minus 30 outside. I do not feel like making or having the energy to making plans. Of course, I can have things that I want to do in 2026. For me, I just want to be happier. I want to put more energy into my business. I want to put myself out there a little bit more. I've started applying to doing like local markets and doing more in-person things because I do a lot of things online. But if you're like me, I don't really have the energy, in January to really put that out there. I see a lot of people doing, fitness groups and things like that, and that's great. If you feel motivated in the dead of winter to really launch yourself on a new direction and you want to put your energy out there, I think that's awesome. This video is for people who don't really feel like that. So, when we look at the traditional seasonal cycles that we find ourselves in, especially in the northern hemisphere, right now it's the dead of winter. If we look into the traditional ways of living, when we look at like paganism and kind of like the seasonal changes, if we follow the season and energy of nature, right now being in the dead of winter, we have a lot of animals still hibernating. We have insects that are still hibernating. The rivers are frozen over. Everything is just more dull and more quiet in general. And that energy for me makes me also want to hibernate more, makes me want to read more books, makes me want to go to bed earlier, especially considering it's been dark at 4:30 or 5 since mid-October. So the daylight is less. You might not have time to get outside as much, especially because it's so dark and it's so cold. And there's just not a lot of life outside. So for me, I'm more of a person who likes to follow the seasons of things and likes to follow the cycle of things. So for me personally, whenever nature reflects like life and energy and sunlight, that makes me more energized. It makes me want to do more. It pushes me to put myself out there more. It makes me get up earlier. It makes me stay up later because I just have more to give when there's more life outside and the nature is awake. When the trees are dead and things like that, and our days are long and they're gray, and if you can't tell, I'm not a winter person. So for me, my New Year's resolutions don't really start until springtime. And that's really when the pagan tradition of the new year really begins, is actually when things wake up from their slumber, from the winter and into the spring, and things start waking up again. That really is the start of the new year, according to pagan tradition. And then that full year returns that next spring. So if you're like me, don't feel the need that you have to, launch yourself out there in 2026. Or if you're not feeling the energy of the dead of winter, that's completely fine. And if you are and do have the energy, then maybe seasonal depression doesn't get you down as much, but I know we all have it, especially living in New Brunswick and especially being in an atmosphere that's just so cold. Not much is going on. We're all recovering from the holiday break. My holiday break was awesome. I got married at the end of December, and we've just been having like 2 weeks of bliss where we're not really doing much. We're kind of just hanging out. We're eating way too many cookies still. My Christmas decorations are still up. I have no intention of taking them down. I'm really not one of those people who, once Christmas is over, we take down all the decorations, because I more have like a Yule tree. I have cranberries on my tree. I have multicolored lights. We don't really have like a traditional Christmas tree. It's more about celebrating the winter season. So I really have those like red and green colors and homemade ornaments and things like that, just to like celebrate the winter in general. So I won't be taking my down for a couple more weeks. I'll probably leave the Yule tree up for a little while longer and enjoy like the season, because for me, like, I didn't really get into the Christmas spirit until after we got married, just because things were so busy and everything was going on, and everyone like is such in a rushy mood before Christmas. Everyone's like panic buying, and I get it, and we're trying to cram all these like Christmas traditions into one, and going to see the lights and baking cookies and listening to Christmas music and watching Christmas movies and things like that, that when we get to January, when we get to right now, I'm tired from doing all of those things. So if you're like me, just take it slow. Of course, you can still have like an idea of what you want to do. Like for me, like I said, I want to put myself out there more, more in-person things and more in-person readings, group events, teaching and things like that, which has been really fun for me to do. It's been really fun last year in 2025 to teach as many people as I did, to take on more one-on-one students for mediumship. And I really want to bring that into this year more, into 2026 more. And I have courses I want to build. I have ideas I want to build on, but I just don't feel inspired and motivated to create them in this moment. And I think that's totally fine. I'm not in a rush to build second and third parts to courses that I've made. So I feel like that energy for me will follow more in line with the seasons and more in tune with the energy of nature, is what I was saying earlier. So you can definitely look for that later on in the year for me. But if you're just feeling cozy and you want to read a book and you just don't have the energy to reinvent yourself with the new year, new me concept, and that's totally fine. And I think we need to respect our like energies more. There's so many times where we're kind of forced to push through really hard times, or if we just don't have the energy to do something, sometimes we feel like we have to perform for other people or have to say yes to things that we don't want to say yes to. And if that's just not your vibe, or that's just not what you want to do, then you don't have to do that. You're in charge of your own life, and if you feel any social pressure of any kind, I'm a big advocate for to try to not let that affect you, even though it's easier said than done. I am not great at that. I definitely am a person who's chronically online. I love Instagram, and I love YouTube. So when you're taking other people's content and you're including it in your own life, just remember that whatever another person is doing doesn't have to deeply affect what you're doing, and doesn't have to make you feel less than when you compare your life to another person's life. So if you are seeing a lot of people, hitting the gym for New Year's resolutions, or eating better, or, journaling more, or wanting to make commitments like that, I think that's great for them. If that's not you, then that's totally fine. You do things when it feels right for you, and then that way they'll stick more. You know what I mean? Like if we are doing things that if we're doing things that people tell us that we should do and not out of our own like inspiration to do them, if you follow me, then that's not going to last. Like if I chose to do something because I really wanted to do it, I had the energy to do it, I had all these ideas, similar to where I made my mediumship courses. I made those courses slowly with intention. I wrote down steps. I didn't go full blazes, head on with it. I took my time and I refined the classes that I am taking or I'm building, I'm teaching, and anything with life, I kind of just take my time. I find if I jump into things based on like societal pressure or others' expectations, it never turns out the way that I want it to turn out. So I'm sending you much love and happy new year, even though it's still, 2026, but my new year is not going to start until spring. And if your new year doesn't start until spring, that's totally fine. So I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to try and put out more videos like this in the new year. There's my resolution, just because it's easy and it's fun and you get to experience it more one-on-one with me and I get to know you guys better. So if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. Happy New Year. And if your new year doesn't start until spring, that's okay. See you later.